He is Peter King here on the show. How are you, Peter?
Hey, Rich. How are you?
Where
Good
have
to be with you.
Where have I found you? Where are you in the NFL landscape today?
I'm in Berea, Ohio.
Okay.
Let's go Browns.
Whereas of this conversation, Baker Mayfield is yet to throw an interception in training camp practice, Peter, and Hugh Jackson
with the mania here. I thought it would be yet to throw an incompletion.
So how is this playing out? Best you can tell so far, Peter.
I don't know. I just got here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
But from what I heard over the weekend, there's quite a lot of excitement. I think the interesting thing and the thing that Hugh Jackson is going to have to weigh, obviously, is when you make that call. And so, like the other day I was in Baltimore, Joe Flacco's absolutely reborn. He's practicing great. I think he always viewed training camp as a time to get ready, and he was never trying to be perfect in training camp. But this year he's trying to be perfect in training camp, and you say, you draft Lamar Jackson, I'll show you what you got in me. And so good for him, and good for that team. But I think it's basically the same thing. Tyrod Taylor, for the first time in his life, somebody has handed him the keys to a car. That gift lasted about a month, and then they drafted Mayfield, and so it seems like it's a matter of time. So I'm pretty sure Tyrod Taylor is going to get the first snap on September 10th or 9th, whatever it is. But then every one of those is going to be judged on. He's going to be judged harshly, and he's going to have to repel Baker Mayfield, and I just don't know how long that'll last.
Well, I mean, in your Football Morning in America, you did have a large chunk of space dedicated to your chat with Joe Flacco, who says that John Harbaugh told him on the night of the draft of Lamar Jackson, win football games and none of this matters. So that's all well and good, but Lamar Jackson has to be out there on the field. And as much as they're Instagramming out videos of Lamar Jackson throwing the ball to Joe Flacco, I mean, that's not what's going to lead Baltimore to the promised land. It's going to be Jackson making plays, even though he says he still wants to be a quarterback. To me, that's the story coming out of the draft, is how that is actually all going to be able to be put into reality, not just practice by the Ravens. I still don't know how they're going to be able to split that ball up, Peter.
Well, I think what you have to do is you look at the offensive coordinator there. It's Marty Mornhinweg. And you look at what Marty Mornhinweg did when he was in Philadelphia, and the Eagles signed Michael Vick in 2010, I think it was. The Eagles signed Michael Vick, and they had to find a way in that period of time to make Michael Vick a factor in those games. And so I think they'll do, I'm not saying the same thing, but it was funny. I was on the phone this weekend with somebody who knows Marty Mornhinweg very well, and he just said that, all you have to do is get out the old playbook to the old Philadelphia Eagles, and you're basically going to see how they're going to use Lamar Jackson. Same kind of plays that they used with Vic. So I'll be interested to see that. I think we all will be. But look, as far as I'm concerned, the Baltimore Ravens had become one of the most boring teams in football.
No doubt.
And boring also translated to losing. They're 41-41 in the last 5 years. Something had to be done. I think they made the right move. I love them. I love the pick of Lamar Jackson.
I do too. Like I said, I just don't know how they're going to, figuratively skin that cat, Peter. I mean, and then you also were in Philadelphia, even though nobody wants to say it really out loud. Wentz looks as if he didn't get hurt, right? He looks like he's all the way back to you.
Rich, you think about it. This guy had more than an ACL, and they said that, hey, it's going to be at least a 9-month rehabilitation process, which would put him very, very close to the first game of this season. Well, we're basically 7.5 months away from surgery, and I'm just telling you, there's nobody who would have been able to tell. I watched him for 2 hours and 30 minutes or so on Saturday. if you didn't know he had had surgery, there's no way you've been able to tell that this is the first time he'd been in pads in 8 months. He looked fantastic. He did throw 2 bad interceptions, but just the plays he made and the torque he was able to put on his formerly wounded knee, that's what showed me and told me when I'm watching that. That's all I was watching for. I wasn't looking to see how many passes he completed or anything. I was just looking to see his physicality, and he was good. I spent some time with him Saturday afternoon, 15 minutes or so, and I was surprised. He was a little subdued, but he was absolutely unequivocally confident in his ability to play now, and certainly play in the opener. But again, this will be the team doctors of the Philadelphia Eagles who make this decision. Zach Ertz told me that, look, I think we all know what we saw out there. We all know how good he looks, but I mean, it's how big a deal really is it if Nick Foles has to play early? The Eagles' schedule after Atlanta is pretty good for them, and at least the first month of the season, I wouldn't be upset at all if the doctors say, let's give Carson Wentz one more month.
NBC Sports' Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. You also stopped by and saw the Steelers, and I don't think I've ever said these words before, gluten-free Big Ben or sugar-free Big Ben.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How did the Steelers...
You know what was the coolest thing, Rich?
Sure.
I'll tell you the coolest thing. There was an air show at the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport right across the street from Steelers camp in Latrobe. So, of course, in Latrobe, it's the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport. And Ben had his wife and 3 very young children with him. And an hour before practice, I ran into him out on one of the far fields, and he was there sitting in the back of a cart with his family watching this air show. It's something that I'm not drawing any conclusions about anything other than I just thought it was a cool, very placid family scene with Ben Roethlisberger before practice, which was really kind of fun.
Yeah.
He was sharp, but when you're throwing to Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown, a lot of people are going to be sharp. I don't know if you noticed, Rich, but how about this? I walk into camp. Every camp you go into and you're surprised by something. Mm-hmm. How about Trey Griffey, number 15, trying to make the Pittsburgh Steelers as a wide receiver?
Yeah, no, you
cool.
You spoke
Ken
to
Griffey's Ken Griffey the first grandson and Ken Griffey's son. It was really kind of cool.
On Baseball Hall of Fame weekend, you chat up, baseball royalty there, and Antonio Brown advocating for Dez, who had quite the Twitter moment on Friday night, and you're in Berea where there is most of the Dez smoke and potentially a signing. What did you make of the Dez Bryant back and forth, Sean Lee having to respond, both Joneses making comments before and after? What do you think, Peter?
I mean, Dez Bryant leaving Dallas is not going to, before his time, before he felt it was his time, is not going to be pretty. Number one, he's not going to take it well. And, all you have to do is observe the Cowboys over the years to know that Dez was not a disruptive force on the scale of, say, a T.O., but he's a disruptive force sometimes. Antonio Brown told me flat out, look, I'd love to have this guy on my team. We definitely could handle him. He would help us win a Super Bowl. And I don't think the Steelers have any intention of going after him. The Steelers are not looking to add to their offensive payroll right now. They've already got enough problems with what they're going to pay the running back and obviously what they're paying their quarterback in Antonio Brown right now. So I do not see that being much of a chance there.
And then let's get into Roquan Smith and the Bears. He's still not in camp over what appears to be the new 2018 phrase. I think the 2016 and 2017 phrase was offset language. Now we're talking about forfeiture language, where certain teams are saying that they can claw back money for any and all suspensions that keep these players off the field, including potentially anything that has to do with this new helmet rule that you were talking to Philadelphia Eagles about, I'm sure, this weekend when they got a tutorial from league officials who weren't even on the same page, according to the Eagles. What is happening here, best you can tell, Peter, and what's the way around it?
What I think the case is right here, right now, is very simple. That they are right now trying to figure out what they can and cannot fine players for under some of these new rules, and how much of that they're going to be able to go recapture from somebody's signing bonus. Honestly, Rich, if I was Roquan Smith, I wouldn't sign that contract either. I would want it to be clarified. I want the language to be. I would want it to be in the contract right away that if I get fined or suspended because of this new helmet rule, you can't take my money away for this rule for something that clearly is an on-field suspension, or would be an on-field suspension, but it wouldn't be anything purposeful. It's not a PED. It's nothing like that. So I totally support Roquan Smith, and I do think the league is going to come to the conclusion that we have got to review how exactly we are. We're basically saying that the contract language just simply has to be cleaned up.
Peter, I know I'm seeing you in a couple weeks here in studio when you come out here to visit the Los Angeles and Southern California
2 weeks
based
from today, Rich. I'll be out there. We'll have a good time.
Look forward to it. Safe travels. Safe travels. Appreciate
Take
everything.
care.
You got it. That's Peter King at Peter_King. That's his new Twitter feed.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.